If Speaker McCarthy relies on Democrats to pass a continuing resolution, I would call the Capitol moving truck to his office pretty soon, because my expectation would be he'd be out of the Speaker's office quite promptly.
Oh, dang. Congressman Matt Gaetz may be the poster boy for Republican dysfunction. In the face of an impending government shutdown, he's doing all he can to politically torment Speaker Kevin McCarthy, including floating around a motion to remove McCarthy as Speaker should he attempt a short-term spending bill. But if you zoom out, you can see the real roots of Republican craziness. One of the key factors, media mogul and architect of Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, who announced he's stepping down as chairman this week. As a column in the New York Times noted, Rupert Murdoch's empire used passion and grievance as fuel and turned it into money and power. I'm back with Brendan Buck, Tara Setmeyer, and Brian Stelter. And Brian, you are the expert on Fox News. Talk a little bit about the legacy of Rupert Murdoch and the influence his empire of conservative news has had on today's Republican Party.
Look, in one word, the legacy is division. This is a much more divided country because of what Rupert Murdoch created with Fox News more than a quarter century ago. There was right-wing talk radio before, there were pamphlets, but he supercharged this far-right ecosystem, really a network of lies, if I can use the name of my forthcoming book, in order to create an alternative that is not rooted in reality the way the rest of the American media is, but instead rooted in a fantasy, dragging America back to the past. That was and is Rupert Murdoch's legacy. And yet he's a diminished figure now. I've been talking with Murdoch World sources again this weekend, trying to figure out, why did he do this now? Why did he announce his retirement this week? And right now there does not seem to be an imminent health crisis, although he's 92 years old, so you have to wonder about his health. It does seem to be that he's trying to show that his son Lachlan is the chosen son. He doesn't want a takeover, some sort of attempt at a takeover of his companies. He wants his son Lachlan in charge. So he's trying to hand power over. We'll see if it works. But I think we have to look back and say, what he did to the country has caused profound polarization, division. And I think about it as a neighborly thing, right, Jonathan? Harder to speak to your neighbors. That's Rupert's legacy.
Wow. And Brendan, you were the chief aide to two speakers of the House, Republican speakers of the House, John Boehner and Paul Ryan. I would love to hear from you about how much impact Fox News and what it was doing had on your bosses when they were in the leadership.
Oh, incredible impact, particularly primetime. I mean, Fox primetime drove narratives and the perception of what we were doing day in and day out. And I remember when I was working for John Boehner, we would have members come to us and say, could you please just go talk to Sean Hannity, do Sean Hannity's show. And just simply doing that act every once in a while would just make members feel so much better. I mean, it really was the pulse of what voters were thinking, and particularly the voters that our members cared about. So huge influence. I would say that influence is a little more spread around these days. There are a lot of other folks outside of Fox that have a lot of sway. But particularly the time I was there, you couldn't really do anything without making sure that folks on Fox News were at least hearing from you.
And, Tara, one of the big impacts of Fox News is taking that passion from the audience that then bubbled up into people running for office, which then had them being elected to office, which has led us to the point now where a week from today, we could be in day one of a government shutdown, where we have people who aren't interested in governing, they're interested in doing something else. I want to replay the comments from Congressman Garrett Graves of Louisiana talking about people within his own Republican conference and what they're doing in terms of keeping a budget deal from getting done. Watch this.
The arsonists have lit their house on fire. They're whining about their house burning. They're going to want credit for putting the fire out, and then they're going to set up a GoFundMe to get paid for what happened. This is really disingenuous. What we need to be doing right now, and what we should have been doing months ago, is not blocking the appropriations bills as we saw.
I mean, Tara, that right there is the legacy of Fox News.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of these Republicans who've been elected now that are part of this merry band of chaos carnival clowns that are in Congress, led by Matt Gaetz and Boebert and others, they're auditioning for Fox News contracts. How many of them have gone into Congress, serve 1 or 2 terms, and then they go and they become hosts on Fox News. I mean, this is not what the House of Representatives is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be an auditioning platform for Fox News. But that's what it's become, because it's not about governing anymore. They are political pyromaniacs. And you have Kevin McCarthy, who is out here as an impotent speaker, who seems to be a political sadomasochist because he continues to try to engage these people and bring them together to do something when they're not interested in doing it. And he still takes the humiliation. So Fox News has been the foundation for a lot of this. They have fueled so much of it, not only what's happening in the House, but the rise of Donald Trump. It was Fox News who gave Donald Trump a segment back in 2010 and 11 when he was pushing the birther conspiracy theories. It was Fox News who gave Sarah Palin a platform, for goodness sakes, after she embarrassed herself when she was the vice presidential candidate. I mean, the Fox News has really been part of the rot in our political system. And Rupert Murdoch and the Lincoln Project, we put this out. Rupert Murdoch has been one of the most dangerous immigrants to ever come to this country, given the power and influence that he has had over the zeitgeist and political behavior that we have seen in this country. And it's a shame what he has done with that legacy.
Whew, I wish I had enough time, Tara, to repeat back to you some of the powerful one-liners you had there, but we are completely out of time. Tara Setmeyer, Brian Stelter, Brendan Buck, thank you all very much for coming to the Sunday Show.